Welcome back to BLOCKTV. It's time now for Crypto Crunch, exploring the latest developments in the cryptocurrency investment industry. And today we have the pleasure of welcoming back Richard Ells, CEO and founder of Electroneum, a currency launched in 2017 with its own blockchain, developed on the explicit intention of gaining mass adoption by targeting mobile audiences and smartphone users. Now, Richard has been on BLOCKTV before to discuss the Electroneum project, but now he joins us today for an opportunity to rebut claims that were made regarding legitimacy of the size of their online presence. And let's take a quick look at the comments made by data analyst Joshua Frank of The Tie.
Throughout crypto, the market really is still the Wild West. We've covered in the past exchanges inflating trading volumes, particular coins having their trading volumes inflated. And another way that manipulation manifests itself is on Twitter and on social media platforms, which are kind of the epicenter of conversations around cryptocurrencies and places where investors find new ideas and new assets to invest in. So one of the biggest things that goes on within the market and that people don't really talk about are these bot accounts, which are created to manipulate and hype and pump and promote particular cryptocurrencies. So we decided to take an examination to look in depth at these cryptocurrencies. What we looked at was how many tweets do they have per $1 million in trading volume, and what we found was that broadly across every single cryptocurrency, the average was 1.02 tweets per $1 million in trading volume. But when we looked at particular crypto assets, for example, Token Pay, Electroneum, Dragon Chain, some of these larger some of these more manipulated coins, what we saw for Token Pay, for example, is that there were 911 tweets per $1 million in trading volume. So compare that to the average, that means that Token Pay has 911 more tweets than what would have been expected, had it been tweeted at, an average rate. So when we looked at some of the...
All right, so Richard, there we have a bit of criticism put in place, but I understand you have disagreements with that analysis and see fundamental flaws, and I'd like to give you the opportunity to respond, so please.
So hi, thanks for getting me back on, much appreciate that. Some of the wording that he uses is extremely strong. He uses the word manipulate, he says the word pump. He certainly suggests that Electroneum is manipulating and using bots and doing things that are untoward. Now that entire piece of research was fundamentally flawed. His research, they have retracted a little, I think, in saying, oh no, we never specifically said Electroneum was doing that. But in that piece, he specifically, if you re-listen to that word, it's very strong wording. And he says they manipulate or they are manipulating the market. Now, we don't have any bot accounts. We ran a third-party script that said actually maybe up to 4% of your Twitter accounts are bots. However, we ran that against lots of other different large enterprise Twitter accounts, and they have similar, if not more, bots following them. Now, the two accounts that he lists as potential bots, if you drill into them, are real users. So don't list bots and then only discover that they're real users. Now, I don't disagree with what they're doing. I really like more people need to analyze crypto. More people need to look at what's going on in crypto and find the good from the bad. So look, I applaud what they're doing, and that's why we didn't take a strong view. Some of the things that were said were potentially could result in litigation, in fact, but we don't want to go down any kind of strong arm route. I want those guys to look at our project closely, and I want other people to do the same. But we are not manipulating anything. We've certainly not inflated any of our figures, and I actually resent it quite a bit when people do. We've got a lot of followers because of one thing. We have actual real world use of cryptocurrency. We have real people on the ground. They're not trading cryptocurrency. So 99% of the crypto market is just speculative trading. So when you get a cryptocurrency that's actually being used on the ground and hardly speculatively trading, you're going to get a divergence between Twitter activity and the large community within it and trading. So I think that's important to mention, for me anyway.
Okay, so then Richard, just sort of break down a little bit more into that analysis there. Electroneum was put down just behind Token Pay as the second most tweeted about currency in relation to its market cap volume. Why do you think that Electroneum has such an outsized principle? I know you say that there's a reflection of use case in the people, but given the sheer disparity between others, is there something that makes Electroneum different, special, unique in your eyes that would put it as such an extreme outlier?
Yeah, I think of course is the answer. First of all, our ICO had more participants than any other ICO in history. To this day, that is still correct. We had 115,000 plus participants. If you look at Tezos, they raised huge quantities more in terms of US dollar value, but they only had 22,000 participants in one of the largest ICOs. So our participant number in ICO terms is largely where our community was based. And then if you look at the fact that we give up to $3 in value of ETN in an airdrop to people to bring them into the project, we're effectively buying users. I make no secret of that. That is what we do. We've said we want mass adoption, and part of that is to cut out the middleman of advertising and spend directly with ETN to bring users on. Now that part is well underway. So we do have huge swathes of users. And if you drill down into the comment section of any of our Twitter posts and then go and have a look at the replies to them and have a look at the accounts that they're made, you won't find this bot activity that they're talking about.
And certainly, even in the wake of that particular segment going to air on BLOCKTV, when it was posted online, there was a strong reaction, particularly from Electroneum supporters and activists, really taking to task with the idea and backing the project. Clearly, there's some very passionate people there who are invested in the Electroneum project, both literally and in a sentimental sense. But I suppose I want to ask as well, and I know that you say that the speculative prices are not really your main game, but I want to bring this into the situation just for you to have a chance to comment on, because we have seen a fairly steep fall in the price of Electroneum in the past a little while. I mean, almost 12% in just the last 30 days. And of course, the ROI from your initial launch down 96%. Do those numbers concern you at all?
Erroneous. I'll cover that in a second. We're not down 96% from our launch. We launched at 1 cent. You can see what we're at now. But there was a lot of people bought in during the ICO where there was a bonus structure. Mm-hmm. The cheapest point that we've ever been was 0.7 of a cent during the ICO. So we're actually down about 50% from there. Okay. And then everybody else that was in at the very, very last part of the ICO was 1 cent. So we'd be down about 70%. That 96% figure on CoinMarketCap is erroneous. I don't know where they get their figures.
As you say, perhaps, as you say, all the more reason to have important, clear data there that everyone needs to be looking at. But in terms of, again, as I say, looking at some of those figures, I mean, some from the speculative side would be concerned by numbers like that. Is that something that bothers you, or do you have other focuses? And if so, what are they?
This is where it gets quite awkward. I mean, I'm running a business in the UK, and everything we're doing is either under regulatory scrutiny or will fall under regulatory scrutiny. We need to have a very good reason to advertise and to do things. Now, we have a great big pot of funds still from the ICO that has been earmarked to make this project a success. And I live and breathe this project, as do our members of staff. So we will make it a success in a big way. Now, everybody has a different idea of what success is. And I know that a lot of people are basing that on price. But what I cannot do is I cannot just advertise to pump the price. In fact, there's one of the things that was sort of suggested in their analysis was that we are pumping. Now, if we were pumping, we would just take the funds that we have and do a huge splash campaign about ourselves. Go out, why don't you speculate? That's what we would be saying. Now, we are not doing that. We're not trying to encourage speculators to speculate. What we're trying to do is make the project a success, at which point we will be advertising the success points of the project. Now, we're super close to getting everything together on this. We've got the first stage of Brazil out already in terms of another major country live. And you're going to see something exciting coming up this week with Brazil. So we have things that are going out on the ground. Now, once things are working, then we can spend money like crazy on advertising to show that things are working and to engage people on it. But what I can't do is I literally can't go and manipulate the price. I would be breaking UK law, which I'm not willing to do for anybody. So we're certainly not manipulating. I am disappointed. Of course, I'm disappointed in our price point, because what it means is that people are falling out of favour slightly, perhaps, with buying Electroneum. Now, it's interesting that most people are just hodling. We've got 4.8 billion ETN in our custodial wallet system. They're just holding it. They're just not trading. So everybody, out of those people, they all believe in the project, and they are all hodling, waiting to see a speculative gain. Now, from our perspective, the one issue that we have with speculative gain is that what we need is an ecosystem. We need people flowing. We need things to work in a nice way. People earn some ETN and spend it. Now, we've got the facility for earning ETN very close to coming out. That's the gig economy, gig fair, as we call it. And that's going to be a game changer. Our blockchain fork that we did in the summer is a game changer. We've got NGOs now running our blockchain. A lot of people have said, oh, you're a charity coin. Well, I think people aren't looking deep enough. So if you imagine some NGOs around the world have got behind Bitcoin, that would be a massive thing. Well, some NGOs around the world have got behind Electroneum because we've convinced them to try it. No other cryptocurrency in history has ever convinced NGOs to try out cryptocurrency. We have. Now, we're the early days of that as well, but they are out there actually getting some ETN. Now, it doesn't take a huge leap to understand that those NGOs could promote us on the ground in those countries to get us operational as well. So that isn't yet happening, but it's inevitable if we get out with NGOs and they start understanding the value and the use function of cryptocurrency, then they will start promoting it. So everything, the ecosystem is being built. What we've actually built in 2 years, I'm really proud of. We've done some amazing things. Sure, I'm a little bit disappointed in the price point myself as well, but I'm not allowed to pump the price, and I will not be doing so. That said, we do have massive advertising coming later in the year to promote the product. So, it's anybody's guess what will happen. I'm certainly not here to tell people what to buy in crypto.
Certainly, and I suppose to talk about that, I mean, there's a number you reference a lot, which is the over 3 million registered users on Electroneum, something that not a lot of other currencies can boast. More actively, in terms of the way that you market, the fact that you have a dedicated use case regarding Electroneum. Could you speak a little to that and how that impacts the way you move forward rather than, let's say, the more speculative currencies?
Yeah, sure. I mean, realistically, we do get a lot of bots. So we have to fight bots all the time. Obviously, if you're giving something away that's got monetary value, then you're going to get people who do run bots trying to create accounts. And we do fight that constantly. But we know that absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, simply because we can see people using their accounts, we know without a shadow of a doubt we've got 2 million plus app installs. Bots don't bother installing an app, of course. So 2 million plus app installs, plus those people are actually or they're logging back in on a semi-regular basis, whatever. So we know that there are 2 million people actually using this. So there may be 3.5 million registered accounts, but a registered account isn't that exciting unless people are actually, from time to time at least, using ETN. Now, because we now have a little tiny MVNO in South Africa you can top up with, and a really big MNO, Claro, in Brazil that you can top up with, and you are going to see more countries coming on board, and you're going to see more top-up capability. So this is the ability to top up in cryptocurrency directly from your phone, from an app, that you can earn a little bit of ETN from. Now, people have said that about the charity thing, we're giving some away, but remember, all we're doing is, it's like a free sample. It's getting people interested in cryptocurrency that would never otherwise try it. These people are not going to go out and buy some Bitcoin. Now, they might go out and buy some Bitcoin if we can introduce them to ETN, if we can introduce them to the concept of cryptocurrency by giving them a little, and they can actually top up their phone and realize the value of it. Then it turns out that actually if they can go off and earn a little bit more cryptocurrency ETN from the gig economy, and then they may well buy Bitcoin, they may well buy Monero, they may well buy other cryptocurrencies. But we've got to get them in first. So that's what we're focusing on, and that's what we're building the infrastructure for. And once the infrastructure is fully complete, which we're super close to, then we'll do a massive advertising spend. No point advertising until you've got the product.
Certainly, and I suppose that in terms of the notion of mass adoption, it seems your philosophy is not only aligned with that, but actively seeking to facilitate that sort of mass adoption approach. But I want to as well touch on now, there was a recent interview that you guys had with Scott Stornetta. We're talking about the founding father of blockchain, as it were, predating Satoshi Nakamoto and his technology, where he said some pretty favorable things about the Electroneum project. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, we were, to use an Australian expression, we were stoked to have that conversation. Yeah, we were really, really chuffed to get that interview, and for him to say such pleasant and encouraging things to us. I mean, he is the founding father of blockchain, as you said. His paper was referenced in the original Bitcoin white paper. You know, he is a big chunk of why Bitcoin works. So for us to talk to him, I was a little nervous. You know, we've got a centralized layer, a moderator layer of our blockchain. So I was a little bit nervous because I wasn't sure what he would think of that. And actually, he was incredibly accepting of the way we work. In fact, he was encouraging of the way we work. He understands that we've got a commercial model. I talked to him at quite great lengths about how the commercial model works. You know, we are not a charity. We plan to make profit at some stage from transactions. We can't do it at the moment because we're still in that build-up of user phase. We need momentum phase. It's a bit like Twitter or Facebook right at the beginning. You know, you need to get your users on before you monetize. But he loved the fact that we've got a future monetary profit, and he actually was very complimentary about the things we've done with our blockchain. Was quite happy with the way that we've got NGOs to run it. And yeah, if you go out and have a little look for the article on Google, you'll find it's out there. We've transcribed the bits that are exciting. So you know, it was very complimentary, and we were very, very pleased to have that interview and thank him greatly for his time.
All right. Well, Richard Ells, I want to thank you so much for coming back onto BLOCKTV to talk a bit more about the Electroneum project, refute some of the claims made against it, and talk about what some of the future and potential holds. Richard, CEO and founder of Electroneum, thanks so much for being with us, and stay with us.
Thank you, as always.
Thank you, Richard, and stay with us at blocktv.com for all the latest in news and information. I'm Asher Westrop Evans. Thanks for watching.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.